I like a guy who thinks he's not good enough. I'd just like someone's input. Had he given you any indication of why he thinks he's not good enough? Sure. It might be a polite way of saying he's not interested. But it might not. And really, who gets to decide what is good enough for you? But you? We've chatted about a future many times, but he says he's too damaged for someone like me. He claims I'm too kind and pretty, and how our financial situations are different. I have told him none of that matters to me, but then again he could just be politely saying to bug off. You might be ignoring an important warning. If all these things make him feel insecure, it could destroy his ability to be a good partner. Insecurities poison relationships. It's natural to care for someone who doesn't see their own worth, but your feelings and desires are valid. Encourage open conversations about your relationship. And remember, moving forward should feel comfortable for both of you. It's not about sticking around at your expense, but about growing together with understanding and respect. It sounds like he has self-esteem issues that he needs to work through himself. It might be he needs to work on himself to feel confident enough to date you. Sounds about right. Maybe Op could go to the gym with him to try to hold up his confidence. She should definitely talk to him and encourage him. His confidence will shoot up quick af. Don't baby him and everything he does. But definitely pay attention to the little things he talked about working on, and he'll definitely appreciate and even be motivated. The only worry I have is that attitude of not being good enough flows into so much of your life. It's almost like Venom symbiote. It is so invasive from goals, work, family to even dating. That means it gets draining quickly because you push people away and lose so many loved ones. Before you release, you need to actually want to change or want to accept help. If you are willing to take this man's hand and show him how special he is, then it may be an extremely fulfilling relationship. However, be careful not to sacrifice your own happiness for him. We don't have enough context. It could be self-esteem. But honestly, he may not be into you. I'm sorry to say. For a lot of people, we don't realize what we have until it's gone. You've spent 2 years pining for him, and he's giving bullshit like future girlfriend. That tells me he's considering you his backup. He wants to do something/someone else right. I suggest you go date someone else. You might discover more about yourself, and he may realize what he missed out on. At that point, you can decide. Wait, he calls you his future GF, but he doesn't wanna be with you. Let him know that he doesn't need to find himself attractive. He won't be dating himself. After all, he will be dating you, and you do think he is attractive. Also let him know that whatever he struggles with, you can go through it together. Just like he would support you with your issues. That's what being partners is about. But I hope you also let him know that what he is doing now is not fair to you. Keeping you on a metaphorical shelf and telling you that you'll be together someday is a good recipe to end up all alone. Why would you wait for him forever? Another advice: keep talks of sex and first times off the table for a while. See how dating goes. If he agrees to it. If not, honestly, I'd give up and move on to someone else. It's possible that this is just a polite way of turning you down. OMG, you're probably right and I'm making a fool out of myself /U0001F972. Be straight up and ask him if that's his way of turning you down. I mean, you won't know unless you try, right? I use the rope burn analogy when it comes to stuff like this. You don't have to stay holding on for so long that you end up hurting yourself, but if you don't get a grip of the situation at all, then it's going to slip right through your fingers. In other words, if you like him and want to F him, then say it straight up. Let him experience the shock and awkwardness and see if he wants to move forward, or if he's not up for it. Be ready to make the progression if he is, and by the same token if he's not, then be prepared to have to step away because everything that had to be said has been said. Remember, your responsibility is to say your part and take action. It's not your responsibility to try to convince him. Don't think too hard on it. You've approached him more than once and he's rejected you every time. Ignore his excuses he gives. Take the rejection at face value and listen to the warning he's giving if you pursue, even when he rejects you. You are implicitly condoning the badness he might end up doing to you. No one else will think that, but he might take the rejection and the warning. Keep yourself safe. It could be a way to tell you he's not interested without having the courage to tell you. Look, the same advice goes for women as it does for men. He isn't interested, and you should move on and find someone who is. You seem like you're interested in meeting someone and having a serious relationship, and there's plenty of men out there who will appreciate your qualities and what you offer, so you need to go out and find one of them. Don't waste any more time with this boy. If you like a guy without much self-esteem or who hates himself, telling him the opposite will most likely hit a wall. If he truly believes he's not good enough, you won't change that with words ever. It can be annoying for most guys like that, because you tell him something that goes against his belief. You gotta show him you care about him without making the entire time with him just about that. The people saying he might not be into you have never seen a man who hates himself, and there are way too many guys who feel not worthy of a relationship. He'll push you away sooner or later, because what someone like him needs is not a girlfriend. He needs to work on loving himself first, and this will never happen if no one helps him. It's not your job to be his caretaker though, so if you really want to be with this man, set boundaries early on and make sure he actively does things to better himself. Self-love doesn't come from nothing, and good communication is really important in your case. There's a relationship phenomenon where one person wants to fix or save the other. Ultimately it becomes exhausting and more often than not futile. I'm sure he's a nice guy, maybe a really nice guy, but he's broken, and until he can fix himself, he isn't available. And there could be 100 things that could be an issue. He might be gay, he might be the victim of CSA, he might have a small p and not know how to deal with it. No one can know what's going on in reality with him. Focus on you and move forward. Maybe in a year or two you'll find he's walking with his chin up and shoulders back and truly grown into himself. Do you even like him as a person at all, or are you just physically attracted to him? I always hear women complain that they don't want to date a guy who lacks confidence, but if they're attractive enough, then suddenly they change their mind and think they can fix the guy. I'm attracted to his personality. I've never cared for looks. He's kind, caring and passionate with what he does. He makes me laugh, which is very important to me, and he notices little things about me. He's quiet and reserved where I'm loud and social. It's just little things like that I like. Why didn't you mention that in the post then? All you did was talk about how he looked. Probably because that's what he's saying isn't good enough for her. Here's the thing. Men never really reject other women unless they really love another woman, and sometimes not even then. That's why guys don't cut off, unfollow, or even protect their girlfriends, because men never really reject women unless they really love another one. So that's why women often get caught up in breadcrumbing, meaning he gives you just enough attention, signs, and hope to keep you hanging on. Some guys are so automated with it that they do it to women who aren't even interested. Now, that's why you find yourself confused. He's not really interested, but doesn't want to let you go. No, he wants to keep you on the roster. If a guy is into you, he comes to see you, calls you, texts you, and there won't be other women, especially not other women, because he doesn't want you with other men. He can give you a straight answer, be there on birthdays and holidays, and support you from the beginning. Saying you're too good means he's unsure. You deserve better. If he says he's not good enough, then he's not. Move on. Trust me. Don't open your body or soul to men like this. Keep it cute. But also, take his word for it. Ask him in his mind, what does he think would make him good enough? If there isn't an answer immediately available, then it might be good for him to think on and get some therapy to discuss that with a professional who could help with self-awareness and life goal setting. If he's not gonna go for it, then you are too good for him. I wouldn't bother with him. A couple of things could happen. He could never get over this, and this became an issue in the relationship. He never thinks he is good enough, so he breaks up with you when things get hard, but comes back after the argument is over. You could end up walking on eggshells around him, because you know he will melt down due to his self-esteem issues. The relationship becomes exhausting because you have to reassure him consistently. It could work, but you must be super patient with someone like that. From your description, it sounds like you just find him attractive, and this is clouding your judgment. I'm going to take a less sympathetic tack on this one. He may be genuine, or this may just be a reliable way to get validation from you, or he's not comfortable turning you down directly when he says he's too damaged or not good enough for you. What he's essentially saying is that you aren't capable of making this decision for yourself. It is infantilizing to tell you that you're incapable of making the "good enough" judgment for yourself. Next time he tells you he isn't good enough, ask him if he thinks you're too stupid to judge for yourself. You've known him for a couple years now. Hopefully this will progress the conversation past where it has been stuck for 2 years. If things don't progress in one way or another, I'd just move on. How many years of your life are you willing to put on hold? Oh yeah, acne will ruin your self-esteem, I remember that. This is tough, but 2 years? Question mark? I would think if something was going to happen with you guys, it would have happened by now. I would ask yourself, if you truly want to be with someone like this, I don't doubt that he's a nice guy and that you're attracted to him, but dating someone with self-esteem issues that are that severe will be really draining. If you really want to try it out, give him one last chance and talk to him. And if he still flakes out, I would just move on with your life. Yes, you're hurting yourself by sticking around. You can't help this guy. Move on to someone else. His self-esteem is low from the sound of it. If he doesn't get past this, it will end up ruining the relationship if you end up together. He needs to work on the way he views himself before you get involved. Otherwise both of you will end up hurt. I suggest he go to therapy for low self-esteem. Give him compliments. Guys don't get a lot of compliments, so getting some from you will boost his confidence. But that dude definitely sounds like damaged goods and could use some therapy. Try this. Hey X. Laying the cards on the table. I like you. I find you attractive. I want to go on a date with you. I might even want to kiss you at the end of that date. This is the reality of the situation. If you're saying you're not good enough for me, I'm gonna ask you to let me be the judge of that. So it's your move. Either we're doing this thing, or I'm gonna drop it, and there won't be another chance. Pick one. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or never. Then let that be that. You're 20. You've got way too much time left to play games with one random dude. If he says he's not good enough for you, then the simple response is, that's not something he gets to decide. And in your eyes he is perfect. Tell him you trust him, and that's more important than anything else. Normally a person who says I'm not good enough for you is warning you about something wrong with them. If he's got no history with women, then it's less of a red flag but still concerning. So ask him out very clearly and explicitly on a date. If he says no again, stop hanging out with him and find someone else to date. He may be great, but he's either unwilling or unable to date you, and you can't let their issues hold you back from the relationship you want, which should be to be with someone who wants to be with you. And for better or worse his aunt saying that. Close bracket. Okay Ishbody, you both sound like you have self-esteem issues. I love my body, but if I boast about it then I'll sound too cocky. I'm quite comfortable in my own skin.